What is up, guys? Welcome in. My name is Nick and welcome to the channel. You join me once again from behind the steering wheel of the Peugeot 308 touring car, driving some laps around Catalonia here, starting our first qualifying lap. We get an okay-ish first lap at 1:53.0. Backing out to get some fresh softs for the final run. We catch a little bit of the yellow curb there, having to back out and start this one again due to our compromise run through the last corner, but we do manage to find about half a second, getting a 1:52.5. That was good enough originally for provisional pole, but there was about 5-6 minutes left, so we do unfortunately drop down to P5. We will be starting on hards, going to softs as usual. We are safety rate A after the last race shenanigan, and we have a 4.824 safety rating, so we are still in that hunt desperately to find that 5k rating. It feels like it has been an age. It's been, well, a good few months and a good number of episodes, but we get off of the line here nice and easily. We don't drop any positions. We are the best of the non-MGs on the grid. We were qualified P5. It was basically 4 MGs and then me and another Peugeot, so we're best of the rest at the moment. A little bit of a heavy MG meta at the moment. We're going down to turn 1. I thought I was on the inside, but apparently there was not quite a car's width in there as the guy just sort of slides his way through. We default to the Formula 1 style of taking the escape road to make sure we don't get caught by anyone else driving a little bit erratically through the first couple of corners. We get another little tap as we go around the long turn 3 around this one here to under the bridge, braking on the inside. There's a big gap opens up in front, so we're going to put ourselves in there. A little bit of a tapping on the MG on the quarter panel, but he seems to recover. I don't know, but it wasn't intentional what I did there. I think he sort of closed the door a bit late, to be honest. I don't know. If you felt that was a bit dirty, drop me a comment, let me know, but I thought that one was fine. We are salvaged a little bit. We're up to P8, so we're down 3 from our starting position. We are now third in this Peugeot train here. We've got the MG sliding up the inside here. I was not expecting him to take a move on there. We get tapped a little bit, runs us a little bit wide as we go up the hill. We have to make avoiding action around that Peugeot, letting another MG through on the outside. He apparently decides to take the racing line, bashes me off here, and we do a nice little pirouette and we carry on. So we are now down to P13, make that P12 with the guy who is off having some fun in the sand, building some castles or whatever. As we come down into the left-hander, we have to go defensive because we do have an Audi who managed to get through that corner at full speed, so we were getting caught quite quickly. Now this is where things are going to take a bit of a turn. It was very frustrating for me during the race, but we are going to get very, very familiar with the look of this black and red Audi in front. Now the guy drove very, very well. He defended very, very well, and it was very clean racing. Someone takes a massive dive in a very abrupt left turn, face first into the wall there before we end the first lap. But anyway, before I got distracted, yes, so we're going to get very familiar with this view. Let's say that he was defending very, very well, left me the space when I needed it. I left him the space when he needed it. But yeah, I just could not get past him. It was very frustrating with the hard tyres because I generally go hard to softs so that I can get round traffic and I don't burn my softs trying to get stuck in traffic, pitting early, and then coming out behind these people. So that only works if you don't end up at the back and stuck behind someone. So we managed to get round him here before we go up the hill, but then I'm having a mistake here and we take a little bit too much of the curb. We get a little bit of a compromised run up the hill, drive a little bit too greedy. We just drove a little bit wide there. We understeer a little bit mid-corner, but it's just the slightest bit of wheel into the gravel that saps all of my straight line speed, and he gets back in front of us. He immediately goes defensive. We duck it around the outside, look to see if we can maybe cut it back, but not really anything going on here. Now I'm very much aware that we still have this other Audi behind us, so I am trying desperately to get in front of the guy in front, but while also trying to defend from the guy behind. So this is going to be some very intense racing over the next few laps because I have the speed on this guy in the corners, but he just has generally the drive, and he positions himself very well just to compromise me enough where I can't capitalise on anything. So as you see, coming through the first couple of corners here, we have a little bit of a tap there. He braked a little bit earlier than I was expecting. It's still the first lap really where we've been battling, so we do lose a place briefly to the Pepsi Audi here, but we managed to get enough drive out of the corner to get that move back before we get into the next left-hander, and we're just going to tuck it in here. We get a little bit of a tap. I was a bit slow on apex. I was focusing on trying to get the best drive out of the corner on the run down the hill. He goes defensive. We look to see if we can maybe get something around the outside. It's not really something there, so I just want to tuck in as neatly as I can, make sure we don't lose too much speed. He gets a little bit out of shape there over the curb. Unfortunately, we were just close enough where he was right in front of me. I couldn't get round him to carry that momentum up the hill, unfortunately, but we are nice and close here, looking to pick up a bit of a tow. He puts himself very early on the left hand side. There's some good driving from him, letting me know he's going to be defending. So we go here, braking just after the 100 board, about 75. We go a little bit too deep here. I try and carry as much speed through the corner as I can, but it's not quite enough to be able to we put the room around the outside. We managed to understeer a little bit too deep into that corner, unfortunately. But as you can see, as we come through the last corner here, once again, we are right on the back of him, looking to get a good drive out of this corner here. We get a little bit too much speed on entry, drifting a little bit mid-corner, a little bit of understeer, and that drops us back coming down to turn one. We go defensive to make sure we don't have a lunge from the Audi behind. That compromises him a little bit. He gets a little bit out of shape coming through turn two, so we now have the run up the hill. We put ourselves on the outside for long term. Round three is very difficult to get a move done here because it is a much longer way around the corner. So even with a lot of speed, we don't quite have the ability to get ahead of him and come into the corner. We are now carrying a bit more speed coming down into the next braking zone. We leave a gap on the inside. We look to see if we can maybe get the switch back, but he positions himself really nicely there. We cut back onto the outside of this one, so it's a really, really good racing here. Lots of respect given by both parties here. We make sure that we give him the space on the inside. We just get on the throttle a bit earlier as early as I can while maintaining traction. We do get the better drive out of the corner here, so we are once again ahead. Brake coming down into the chicane, carry the speed over the curb, make sure we don't mess up coming through the top of the hill section here like we did previously, and now we're just looking to make sure we see if we can get a bit of a gap to this guy behind, so we maybe make some headroom into the cars in front. We go a little bit deep here, go all the way out to the green paint. You have to go a bit defensive here. We'll leave space on the inside just in case he's there, but he seems to have given us a space. We're going to put ourselves right on the inside here. We're not going to give him the option to cut back. He tries to power on the outside, gets a bit too much understeer, and that thankfully gives me a little bit of breathing room now where I can drive facing forwards and not having to drive my rear view mirror. We have a car there who definitely missed the ability to enter the pit lane there. So as we come around here, the main thing is now we're at 5 of 8. We're looking to get a quick lap in here so we can potentially pit at the end of this lap. Our tyres have just flicked down into sort of minor wear. We're coming through the last couple of corners here. You can see we just have to be a little bit more ginger on these ones here. And this is a point where I could do a complete brain fart, miss the pit entry. My then controller refuses to go down again. As you see, we just drift off into the gravel. So all the good work that we've just done, getting past that guy, getting the green sectors all the way through this lap, and then we're now going to be running 2 laps on the softs. I tried to get out of that guy's way before anyone says anything. I saw he was coming. I wanted to get very much over to the right, and yeah, he was a lot further right than I was expecting. So because we did the extra lap on here, we've already dropped about 5 seconds with that gravel trap. We're now down 1.5 seconds on our best time on this lap as well. We've gone into moderate tyre wear, so we have very little grip at the front, dropping another 3/10 through the over the hill section. You can see we're just washing wide on everything. That's another 0.5 seconds we've lost through those corners there just to end the lap. Desperately trying to keep the car on the right hand side here to make sure we get ourselves into the pit lane. We're going to go very, very slow using all the green paint and make sure we make it in without suffering the same fate as the guy from the previous lap. So we have two laps on quick soft tyres here, so just going to hopefully not lose too much through the pit stop and see where we come out. We can already see some of the Peugeots that we overtook. That was a very familiar shape, black and red Audi coming out of here. But as we are in pit lane, this will be the time where I ask you to drop me a like, leave me a comment, and do please subscribe if you are enjoying this content. There is plenty more of this on my channel. So we come out with 2 laps to go. We've got about 5 seconds to make up. We make up about 1 second or so through the first corner here on the run down to the chicane. Coming into the long left sweeper, we managed to make up about another second through the chicane and over the hill section as well. Coming out through the last corner, we are now down sub 3 seconds, about 2.5-ish as we cross the line, I think it's going to be. We carry that through for the first part of the lap here, so we've still got a lot to do in this lap here. We do thankfully have a 1.7 second penalty for the car in front, so we can hopefully make that work. He has pit, but he does seem to be struggling for grip quite a lot. It is an Audi, so maybe he's chewed through his mediums a little bit quicker than he was expecting. We're down to within 0.5 seconds. We come through the final complex of turns here through the left-hander. We're looking to see if we can just, I wasn't really planning on overtaking, but he just drifts a bit wide mid-corner here. We tuck ourselves up the inside, not running him out wide, but we give him enough space on exit. You can see the car dropping dust ahead is the guy we were stuck behind for so much of this race here. Coming through the the right-hander, we managed to get up the inside as he drifts wide, and we managed to just about salvage P10. So we did manage to get a top 10 finish. A bit annoying starting from P5, but it's still better than nothing. Really great racing with that guy there. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was very frustrating, but a lot of fun. As you can see, based on our lap times, we were flying. We should have been fighting near the front with this one, unfortunately, if it wasn't for those contacts early race. But we shall move on to Lime Rock, and we shall move to Lime Rock in the rain. So this is going to be a very interesting race. This is all about qualifying. I never normally do Lime Rock. I tend to avoid this place because turn 1 here is an absolute flustercluck. It is a pain in the backside. I'm doing a couple couple of practice laps here just to get my eye on with the wets here, and we managed to get 57.2. So I think it's about time that we put some qualifying laps in here. So we're going to duck out practice. Our first one is not going to be very impressive at all. We go very wide through turn 1. Just about. Nope, we're not going to keep it on track, and we slip wide. So that is an immediate waste of that lap here. So as we come to do our first actually timed lap, we're at 58.6, so we're a second and a half slower than our practice time. Turn 1 doesn't go much better on this final run either, annoyingly. So by the time we actually managed to navigate our way around, it is not going to be much of an improvement, unfortunately. You see, we're already losing time with the first sector. It's about even. There's only a 0.02 of a second drop on here, but as you see, we come around over the curbs here. We get a little bit too greedy on that curb. We managed to get our left-hand tyre up onto the curve. 0.2 of a second down at this point through the uphill section, trying to drift around as wide as we can without going on the wheel, dropping the wheel onto the mud. We 1/10 of a second up coming into the final corner here. I feel like I had a better run out of this corner. We managed to make up about 2/10 through that corner alone, and with the run down to the line, it's going to be a very not impressive one at 58.2. So we dropped a second between practice and qualifying just through, well, just incompetence of the driver. The squishy man behind it didn't do too well. We're going to be starting P8, unfortunately. It's putting me on dry tyres here at the beginning of the race, so I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm having a look around. It's definitely a dry track. Lead cars are on wets. We're now going to play the game of how long do we think the rain is going to hold out for. I end up opting for mediums in this one, I think, because that gives me about half the race to manage to hold out on grip and hope the rain comes, basically. If we're on mediums, this car does not do well medium on most circuits, especially this one where it's going to be scrubbing the tyres basically the entire race. But if the rain comes at the right time, we might actually manage to make this work. So get away from the line here. We're just going to be trying to go ultra passive. We're going to just not fight too much. We've already got someone going sideways. We managed to collect him and straighten him up a little bit. We've got one person out onto the grass on the left. The main part on this bit is not end up on the grass because you just lose so much time out there. We managed to get through that at P7, so we were up one position. And Audi slid up the inside as we got through the second part of turn 1, but we're just going to play it nice and calmly. We're not fighting for positions. We'll take what's given to us, but we're not going to fight for anything because the early part of the race, people are desperately scrapping. I generally just try and hold my position, defend what I can, build a gap where I can. We're going to look up the insides. We have a massive overspeed to the guy in front. He tries late to close the door. We put ourselves up the inside, but he just manages to carry a bit more speed around the corner than I do. He again tries to tighten the line up as if I wasn't even there, and we managed to get a little bit of Forza glue, but we both get through there while still facing the same direction. The car behind is the guy who spun lap 1. Coming through lap 2 here, we have a Golf, again all wrong, coming through with the right-hander here as we go through the back kind of straight towards the uphill right-hander. So we are up to P5 after all that there, so that is a nice little gain through there. We get a bit wide coming through the final corner onto the start finish straight to end lap 2, and we're starting to get gapped a little bit by the Audi in front, but thankfully at the beginning of lap 3 he gets his braking point all wrong, slides off into the grass, and as I said, when you're out there you can lose a whole boatload of time. So we are up to P4 and it's going to be pretty much minding the gap at this point. I don't know if and when the rain is coming, so the main thing I'm looking to do is just build a gap to the car behind. While I'm not too worried about making up to P3. If that happens, it happens. I want to just manage that 2.2 second gap. As you can see, for the last lap or so we've been holding it about 2 to 2.5 seconds. We're putting in green sectors, so we are good on speed. We're just trying to go as fast as the guy behind us is, basically. So we've now made up to a 3-second gap by lap 9, and we're getting pretty close to half distance. My tyres are at minor wear, so we're hoping that rain is going to start, and just as we come around the back kind of straight bit towards the uphill right-hander, we can see the windscreen wipers have just turned themselves on. We got the first spratter in the rain, so we were lucky to be in the right position on the track. As you can see, we've just gone into moderate wear as we come into the start finish straight at the beginning of lap 10. So we are going to put ourselves onto wet tyres. We've been incredibly fortunate. I'm going to put that down to just big brain skill, but yeah, it looks like we should hopefully capitalise on this. Once again, we see the pit lane, so you know what it is. Drop me a like, leave me a comment, and a subscribe would be fantastic. We are very crowded as we come out of pit lane here. The guy behind us deciding to carry on. We've got the Lincoln Co and the Lavorg right behind us, so we are now on wet tyres. We managed to gap them by about a second over this lap here, so it was definitely the lap to switch. The track is looking much wetter than it was when we first came in here. You see the AMG in front of us desperately trying to keep on the track here, and we managed to get a much better drive out of the corner. We've got a load of people in front of us in the pit lane, so we're going to be taking back our P4. So once again, we are just going to be looking to manage the gap here to the car behind us. We're going to be about 4.5 to 5 seconds behind the guy in front, and we're looking to keep that 2-second advantage to the guy behind. It drops a little bit low in places, but we managed to to get that for most of the race here. We see a ghosted collision from a guy losing it as we come through turn 1, and we're just going to thankfully drive through that. But yeah, we'll see. We are now lap 15. We are just about holding on to tyre wear. I'm driving at about sort of 80% speed because I don't want to burn these tyres out. I notice they're about halfway. Still got a couple of laps to go. Well, no, just starting our final lap. As you see, we just tipped into minor wear. We're about 4.5 seconds behind the guy in front, but we have built the gap to about 3 seconds to the guy behind, and he has got a small penalty as well. So it looks like we've managed the tyres pretty well in this one, along with the gap, and we should be bringing this home in P4. Just got a last couple of corners here to navigate with the minor wear. We drop to almost moderate wear by the time we get to the line, but that is going to be a pretty good finish there, I think, in P4 in some tumultuous conditions in that one there. So pretty happy with the result of that one, jumping up from P8 after some terrible qualifying, just missing out on the podium, and we do get a pretty quick lap as well at 53.1. We're not too far off the fastest lap as well. So yeah, pretty good one here, I think. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. So we did manage to get an improvement in our rating at the end there, up to 4.854, and we are thankfully back into S rating for safety as well. So if you did enjoy this one, guys, do please leave me a like, drop me a comment, and do please subscribe for plenty more videos in the future. On screen now is the last race we did in the Peugeot, where we went around VIR on Suzuka. Some very fun racing there as well, some good finishes, and yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.